CPC means a lot to me. Will you come and see how I play Dizzy? If you're in love with retro gaming, come and join the board. And if you want a Friday foursome, watch him and you could. Overboard.
Hello everyone, Novabug here, and I'm going to go through a very special pickup I got. I recently upgraded my GX4000 with a very nice C4 CPC hardware modification to enable you to play all the games and more, converted games, for the console on the system. And this is another device I've been meaning to get for a while. Now, the I'll get my words out in a minute, I'm so excited. The CPC464, you're obviously familiar with this system, which is right here with the plus monitor I've got it connected up to with a cable. Now, to play games on this system, you would traditionally have to load them via cassette. Now, many modifications are available to change this, to give it disc capability, for example. For instance, on the Amstrad 6128 you can add a HXC Gotek modified one to it to enable you to plug a USB or an SD card in to load games directly. That was a bloody big motorcycle, that, wasn't it? Did you hear that? Fucking ruined my bloody speech there. Anyway, I'll start again. 6128, you can get a HXC Gotek modified to go into the system, interface with it, and load your ROMs directly from SD or USB. Now, up until recently, the 464 really didn't have that luxury unless you had a DDI1. Now, DDI1 is a disk drive interface. Now, this came out back in the day as part of a package to enable the 464 to run disk games. Now, you would have to have three elements to this. You would have to have the DDI1, you would have to have the ribbon cable, and you would have to have the FD1 3-inch disk drive, which you could also use as an additional disk drive to the 612 and 664. So all that gubbins is not exactly common to come by nowadays, and of course you still have to have these software discs as well to play the games. So you have to have the massive library of discs, which I've got some discs, plus all that kit to get this game's running on the 464. Now, a very, very talented engineer called Zaxon, goes by the name of Zaxon. Apologies, mate, I cannot pronounce your name properly. He's a very lovely Polish chap, and I cannot pronounce his name, so I'm going to call him Peter Bujaj, because I think that's the way you say it. Peter Bujaj, so I'm going to call him Peter, but I'm going to call him Zaxon because he goes by the name of Zaxon. And he does Spectrum modifications, hardware clones, and Amstrad modifications and hardware clones. And he invented, or should I say engineered, this rather genius piece of kit, which totally negates the use of a DDI1, an FD1, and physical discs. And here it is. This he is aptly named the DDI3 USB Emulator. To give it its full name, the DDI3 USB Floppy Emulator. So it's a combination of things all into one card. No flashy covers with this, just basically goes straight into the back of the 32-pin disc expansion port on the back of the 464 via this port here. It has AMDOS on it, it has PowerDOS on it as well, so you can switch between the two with this switch right here, and you can load on your games via USB directly into here as long as you have the Amstrad ROMs. They have to be in HFE format because this runs off HXC firmware. Because of that, you will need a little bit of experience with HXC. I didn't when I got this, but I learned pretty quickly. So you just plug this into your back of your 464, and away you go. as long as you got it set up, and that's fine. It doesn't come with any instructions or any guides, but there are plenty of online stuff out there, especially Indie Retro News. Link to Neil's article on Indie Retro News about this down in the description box, and of course a link directly to Zaxxon's sales page on Sell My Retro, where you can purchase one of these. 52.99 pennies. £52 and 99 pennies, absolute steal. It would cost you probably up to 200 quid to get the original kit, the DDI1, the ribbon cable, and the FD1, and they're rare as, honestly, hen's teeth. They really are. So getting hold of this is a godsend, and it enables me now, like many others have done in the past, to play the entire catalogue pretty much of Amstrad games, including the 128k games, we'll get to that in a minute, on the 464, which is just unbelievably lovely and rather stain inducing. So what we're going to do, I'm going to pop him down there for a second. I'm going to cut the camera, zoom into the 464 and talk through it, and hopefully this will provide a little bit of an idiot's guide to it, because I had to learn from the ground up how to do this. So it's kind of like a Novabug's Idiot's Guide to the DDI3 on the 464. Right, so here is the 464 all set up and ready to go. Now the first thing we're going to do is switch him off, because we don't want to plug this thing in when it's switched on. So the first thing to do is to very carefully locate the pins at the back for the expansion and slot the DDI3 in. Be quite careful doing this and try and get an eye on it, which I'm not doing. I'm doing this blind. There we go. It's in, and then switch on. And then, as you can see on the screen here, Parados V1.1 has come up. It's changed from the original ROM, which is inside the system. So it's reading the Parados ROM, which is on the DDI3. Now, I've got no USB stick in this at the moment, so it's flashing on this LCD display right here. No USB stick, so there's nothing to actually do with it at the moment. So we're just going to go through what the device controls do. You've got a switch on the side right here, which is the reset. So this will reset not only the DDI3, but it'll also reset the whole system like that. Same reason as you would go Control Shift Escape, a reset. You've got your two scroll buttons here. These two scroll through your files backwards and forwards. You've got your mount button, which when you select your file, you mount onto the system, and then you can run the system using the usual commands. You've got your switch ROM here. This one, sorry, switches over towards AmDOS and Parados. We're going to keep it on Parados. This one is the Abbas key, I believe, which I'm not quite sure what that does, but we're not going to focus on the really big details here. Like I said, this is going to be more of an idiot's guide how to get games playing through the DDI3 onto the 464 and the enjoyment that follows. So we'll switch him off, and I've got my little tiny USB stick here, which I've preloaded with ROMs. Now what I've done here to get this, I've got a pack as well, but I've also put my big collection of ROMs that I already had onto it. It will read them in whatever format, but you must have the HXC boot file, the config file more specifically. You can do this by creating one. If you download, in a link in the description box for this, down there, you can do this by using the HXC emulator that you can download onto the PC and create a config file for it, dump to this stick, and that's done. You can also use that to create a boot disk, excuse me, I say a boot screen, but it's better to have a direct link to that. I've got a package which had the boot screen on it, and several ROMs as well, which I've constantly added more Amstrad ROMs to it. But anyway, I'm waffling now, so we switch him on. So now we are enabled. Now, without the boot screen, if you didn't have that file in the USB, you'll be able to look at the LCD here, which you probably can't see on the camera there, and it would display your file names, and you scroll along, find the game that you want, say for instance Shinobi Trace SQ or whatever, press the mount button, then do the usual, like you were treating this as a disk. So you would cat first to find what you would be looking for, and then run, speech marks, the file run name, and then hit enter, and hopefully things should load. Now, because we have the boot file on this, which will put a nice little loader for us on the screen, all we have is reading is HXC. So we run HXC, and we will get a really nice IUD there, a user interface which will enable us to select all the ROMs on our file, on our USB, should I say, on our USB file. Here we go, it's just compiling now, and there we go. So we've got them all. You can use the cursor keys to move around, up and down to select, as you can see on the bar there, side for a directory. So we'll go, say for instance, we'll go into the C directory, press side, and it will then load that directory, like so. Now, what this also does is enable you to create slots for default games that you want to load directly from the DDI3. So if you press S, you'll go into the slot list. There are 15 slots available, and you can put any number of games in this as you want. I've got one preloaded there already. The games like Cyber Chicken, Cauldron, Super Cauldron, which does run unbelievably great, Shinobi, Robocop, and all that kind of stuff. So it's all in there. Those are my current selections. To come out of that, just press any key. So if you want to go through things, you can just go down to different games. For instance, there's Chase HQ there. I'll press enter, and that will load it into slot 1, which appeared in the top corner. When you're happy with all your slots, and you constantly keep doing that. Sorry, I'm rushing here. So if you want to pick another file, for instance, we'll go down to there we go. Nice new game there. There's Cyber Chicken. I just got rid of that, but we won't load it in again. Cybernoid. There we go. There's Cybernoid 2. So we'll load Cybernoid 2 into slot 2. Hit enter, and it's done. As simple as that. And when you're happy with loading all your slots up, you can just hit escape, and you'll come back out, and you're back into the boot screen of the Amstrad, where you'll only have the slots available that you've just preloaded. You won't be able to do anything else. You won't be, unless you go back into the HSC boot screen, which you can do, of course. But once you've done that, like I say, navigation is extremely simple. Up and down to select the file, side to side to go in and out of directories. If you press, if you hold Control and side to side, you can skip between slots in the top right hand corner, so you can change slots on the fly, as it were. So it's quite a nice interface. It's very simple to use once you know how to use it. You can't actually directly play games from here. You have to come back out to play the game. So once all your slots are loaded up, hit escape. It will say save. Yes, you save. And once it's written the file, there it goes back to the boot screen like that. No header. And then what you can do is you go back down here. I'm going to zoom in a bit, I think. Oh, look, see, I've got my zoom way off there, haven't I? Bit out of it. There we go. A little bit of focus. And I'll scroll along, see what games I want. Now, displaying on here are all the slots that you put in. So, if you were paying attention to the slot list that I pulled up, I put in at the first slot Chase HQ, which is there. Cybernoid 2, which is there, and all the other things that I had in the slots, like Super Cauldron, Silkworm, Sub Hunter, Double Dragon, Shinobi, and so on and so forth. And this is where you would load them directly from. Now, I'm zooming back out, so I can get you a full picture of what's going on. There we go. So I'm going to load up Cybernoid that I just had on. So we just select Cybernoid, press the mount button, look for the command to open. So it's excuse me, run cyber I put there cyber ... that's 2, enter, and then hopefully we should load up pretty quickly. because this is a disk-based, it's working on a disk-based system. This is a ROM, obviously it's a hacked ROM. We don't want pokes, we're just going to go straight into the game. And boom, we should have it. There we go. Lovely loaded screen there for Cybernoid 2, beautiful loaded screen. And we also should get the rather excellent Cybernoid 2 music as well. Just move this here a bit so you can see what's going on. There we go. Just give that a bit of a pump on the monitor. And there we go. The game is there, ready to play. Define keys, start game, we'll start game. And then we're off for Cybernoid 2. Well, I died straight away anyway. To reset the game then, it's just a case of pressing the side button and we reset back to where we were. We've still got the slots loaded in on the system, and that will save into the memory until you save another file over the top. Now, at the moment, we can only play 60/40. I'm thinking of bloody Spectrums again. Shocking. Bad Novabug. At the moment, we can only play 64K games because, of course, we haven't expanded the memory. There's nothing to advance the system here to play the 6128 enabled games. But this is where DDI3 knows what you like. So we switch off everything and we take out DDI3 and then we add one of these doozies. A DK-Tronics 64K memory expansion. Now any memory expansion should do the trick as long as it's a good one, but this one was always the most faithful for me. So you would just slot that into the back and then you can slot the DDI3 into the back of that, switch on, and now we are expanded to 128K memory. And to prove it, remember my slots are still loaded, so what I have to do here is just scroll along to my slots. Say for instance we'll take something like a very recognisable game that's different in 128K. So I've got a few in there, Shinobi, but we'll go for Robocop. So we'll load in Robocop, and as you will hear, you will get the synthesized speech that you will only get with the 128K version. I'm hoping that's what's going to happen. It should happen. If it doesn't, I'm going to be very embarrassed. Wait for it. It did. There you go. You see? So just check out the speech here.
Serve the public trust. Protect the innocent. Uphold the law.
Beautiful. And then off we go with one of the greatest games on the Amstrad. An absolutely superb version of Robocop. And it's as simple as that. It goes, I've tested so many games on this now and they all seem to work fine. Even the demos, the new games, I mean there's fantastic play in the new games on this. Just going to reset that. So it's as simple as that. Once you know what you're doing with this, it's so good. Yeah, no tapes, look, no tapes, no discs, everything is ROM going through the USB. The DDI3 just takes care of everything. You don't need the DDI1, you don't need any messy ribbon cables or anything like that. It just all works through this, and it even automatically uses the 64K expansion as well. If you need any more information on this, please hit me up on the Facebook and on the Messenger and whatever. And there's helpful links in the description box if you need any help on it. For any Amstrad fans, this is an absolutely bit of kit. It's wonderful, and Zaxxon is all too pleased to take orders. I don't know how many are left. I think there's a limited run of them. I know they're running out, so get in there, because this thing is the dogs. For the quality of it, it's very, very sturdy, and it's extremely good value as well. Get it all loaded up fine. Get them HXE files, config files on it. You don't really need the boot file. You really don't. You really don't need the boot file on it. But you can, because you can just use it directly from the LCD screen, which is very, very handy. But having the boot screen is a lot easier to create this sort of 15 slots, and off you go. It's easy as that. So I'm going to finalise this by loading up. I think I'm going to load up this. This is the game that, well, I used the theme music to this game originally, and it's nice sometimes to play it. I still love this game. It's still got the most silliest title ever, but the music is bloody wonderful, and it's a 64K version. Because look at the title screen. It's different. Yay! So with that, I'll say, no bug. Out.